Praise the Lord, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong. If you're new here and you want to find your passion, unlock your potential, and discover God's purpose for your life, then I want to welcome you to the Huddle and also encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel where the Huddle is shown every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. This morning, we are live on YouTube. This morning, we are live on Facebook. And this morning, we are live on Periscope, which will eventually become in a couple of months, Twitter Live. So we are live and we are off and running to break the huddle. And very soon, our guest for this morning will be joining us. But as our guest is in the process of getting themselves ready to come on, we're just gonna if you will, fill in the gap and just want to say, first of all, thank you for those that tune in every morning faithfully to the Huddle. From those in Maryland to my brother Raymond, to those who are in Arizona, my brother Barney, and my brother William, and so many others across this country that are tuning into the Huddle. We certainly want to thank you for being a part of the Huddle, because again, the goal of this channel is to share great content that's going to encourage you to find your passion, and content that's going to encourage you to unlock your potential, and encourage to help you discover God's purpose. And so every week we're going to bring on a guest that talks about encouraging you to do that and sharing their story, how they're doing that. And just to kind of give a recap, last week we had we talked about the history of Black fraternities. And so I want to thank my brother Anthony A. Smalls, aka Tony Love, and my brother Raymond Bennett, and my good brother Gary Preston for coming on and representing their various Black fraternities. And it was just such a positive, give me 1 second just to bring in the guests, and I'll not lose my train of thought. Boom. It was such a positive response on the last week's show on the history of Black fraternities. We have decided in March, which is Women's Month, to do the history of Black sororities. And so we want to just honor and just respect just some of the great things that our brothers in the fraternities are doing in Black History Month and in Women's Month. We want to honor our Black sororities, because we also know our first Black woman vice president is also part of a proud sorority. And our dear sister Vanessa, who has just joined us on the Huddle. Good morning. How are you doing? Welcome to the Huddle.
Good morning. And since we're talking about sororities, then yes, our vice president is a member of the illustrious sorority of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, of which I belong to as well.
You do? All right. So you know what? We're going to go just right there, and we'll get to talking about empowering our youth and dance and education and culture. So we'll tie it in, but share a little about your sorority and your feelings about when that moment hit when you saw her take the oath of office.
Well, we were just so excited and elated when she was chosen as the VP candidate to run with Biden. And, she was a formidable candidate in the presidential primary. And so we were excited. I'm excited particularly because my son is a Howard University grad, and so is Kamala Harris. So it really does a lot for HBCUs and creating a legacy for HBCUs that they are now at the helm of leadership from the national standpoint. But I have to say that particular inauguration day, all of our sorority sisters, we had on our Kamala gear. So we had on our jeans, our Converse, we had our blazers, we had our pearls, but it really was a sense of pride. And it speaks to what we learn as part of the sisterhood, which is service to all mankind. And that what she is emulating in her leadership on the national level. So I cannot say that I can't say that I'm more so proud of her. Every sorority sister is proud of her. I pledged at Dartmouth College, so I am of the Xi Lambda chapter. I pledged in spring, and I'm going to give away my age. I pledged in spring of 1987. So I have
Wow.
been a member of the sorority for over 30 years. And I do have to say that during our pledge process,
Mhm.
that is really where I learned or unearthed characteristics that I did not know that I had. And so
Mhm.
that pledge process really, I have to say, was the basis for me becoming the leader that I am today, was
Mm.
through what I was taught through Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Wow, that's great. That is great. So, if your schedule permits, we definitely
Mhm,
need to have you back on March 13th,
mhm,
which is the second Saturday, 11 a.m. So we can just,
mhm.
give our sisters the platform and just share about the history and what Black sororities are doing in our society today. The goal of this YouTube channel and live stream is just to encourage people to find their passion, unlock their potential, and discover God's purpose. And so, we want to do these different things that will help our young people and adults to understand that these are definitely different avenues that they can do. So let's kick off this huddle. And so question number one for you, Mrs. Vanessa is, and see, I've just, since knowing you, I've always, it's out of term of respect. I've never called my mother by her first name. I've always called my mom.
Right.
I've always called my pastor Apostle Corbin. So it's out of a term of respect for you, Mrs. Vanessa. And Naya be saying, "Why are you saying this?" I said, "It's out of respect," and that's so I got to emulate that so our young people can do that. So I realize we're
Exactly,
live.
exactly.
So
Right.
question number one.
Mhm.
Um, Tell us a little about the history of Venettes Cultural Workshop, our viewers, and how you begin to discover your passion in wanting to be instrumental in helping young people and parents in dance and education and culture.
So I don't know if it was a discovery, right? Because my mother created the Venettes Cultural Workshop in 1967, and that is when I was born.
Okay.
And she was from Harlem and the Bronx, and
Hmm.
she was residing in the Bronx before they moved out to Long Island. So
Hmm.
they chose to move to Wyandanch. I think at that time the house was $5,000.
Ooh.
And they didn't have furniture for the first 2 years because they couldn't afford any furniture after paying $5,000 for the house.
Hmm.
But when she got out here, she realized that there was a lack of activities, particularly extracurricular activities for the youth of the community. So,
Hmm.
since dance was always her passion, she had a dance troupe in the city. She wanted to bring that out here to Long Island, particularly the Wyandanch community. So,
Hmm.
she established the Venettes Cultural Workshop in 1967 in our garage and basement.
Hmm.
And she started with 12 students. And
Hmm.
really, the motto and the goal and objectives of when she created it are the same goals and objectives that we have now 54
50,
years
54 years from when I saw it
yeah,
on your
50
website.
yes, so 53, 54 years from then. And it really is to allow for academic motivation through the arts. So
Hmm.
while we're teaching our students all different disciplines of the arts and the performing arts, it's really about achieving academic success.
Hmm.
And so we've continued with that same motto. It's to inspire, to support, and to achieve. I'm just so happy and proud that I can be part of that legacy of Mary Baird and Dennis Baird, because
Hmm.
after she created the school in her garage and basement, she started to grow, and my father was like, okay, you can't stay here with all these kids, right? So we have to figure out where you can go and where there's a home for you.
Hmm.
So Our Lady of Miraculous Metal Church on Straight Path in Wyandanch opened their doors to us in 1968.
Mm. Wow. All right now.
Yeah.
To to my huddle, to those who are watching me on the huddle on YouTube, just let me know where you're watching me from. Just drop in the comment section. I see my brother Robert Tyman from Arizona. Glad to see you on the huddle again. And we are also on Periscope, so let us know where you're watching this from. And so, question number two, Mrs. Vanessa, is, there's a lot of dance schools that people can take their young people and their children to, but how have you been successfully able to communicate the vision of the Venettes Cultural Workshop, that it is not just about being another dance school, but so much more? How has God blessed you in that way?
So it is a blessing. And the fact of the matter that, we had the seed planted by Mary Baird and Dennis Baird, and then for that seed to continue to be watered by the community. So it's not just me, right? It's not just
Mhm,
about what I do. It is about
mhm,
the support network and the extended family of the Venettes Cultural Workshop that allows us to continue to grow and excel. So I took over the workshop in 1992 when my mother passed away from lung cancer.
mhm,
And it was a little bit different because my mom, while she had some businesses, she could really dedicate, it was part-time work that she had. And now I have a career in finance. And, she said to me as she was passing away, we had some time for closure, which is really important. And that was a blessing. And she
mhm,
said, you don't have to do this. I know that you have a career. I know that you want to focus on, finance and continuing to establish your career. And it wasn't a second guess for me. It was like, this is who the Venettes Cultural Workshop and the teachings of the workshop is what I made me who I am today. So it
mm,
is very important for me to ensure that that foundation exists for students to help make them into the best people they can possibly be.
mhm,
So I think the difference with the Venettes Cultural Workshop is that, it's a performing arts school, but it's a family. So we are not only here for dance, acting, drama, charm and etiquette, and vocal classes. We're here to support you. So you know that when there are issues that are going on with a student, parents will reach out. Miss Vanessa, can you talk to her? If I can't do it, then we have one of our teachers connect with our students. So it's about making sure that they have an extended family where they might not feel comfortable going to their family members to talk about issues or concerns that they may have, but they feel comfortable enough with their teachers and the other administrators here to have an opportunity to be able to talk through an issue with someone, to be able to get advice from someone else. And the role modeling piece is so important because all of our teachers are former students of the Venettes, except for one, Miss Diana, two, Miss Diana and Miss Cara. They're all
mhm.
former teachers of the Venettes who've gone on to college and who have come back to give back to their community. So we don't have, while people get paid, a nominal amount, they're doing it because they realize what it did for them and they want to impart that same knowledge, that same experience to the other youth of our communities.
Oh, that's great. That is truly great. Hey, if you're watching this on this huddle this morning and you're getting great value out of this discussion on how the Venettes Cultural Workshop and God has blessed Mrs. Vanessa on being able to encourage our young people through these various tools such as dance, charm, especially if you are in the New York area, Long Island, New York area, because registration will be coming up soon. So we want to give a shout out and plug if you're looking for a great place for your young people to come to when registration comes up. I believe May, I believe.
It'll probably will be a little bit later this year because
Yeah,
we've had a different year. So we'll talk about that a little bit,
late.
but it'll
Okay.
probably be towards the end of June.
Okay, perfect, perfect. But certainly, we want you to put in that in the comment section hashtag adding value. Share this on your social media channel if you're watching this on YouTube, and also if you haven't had a chance, subscribe to the channel. Question number 3, Mrs. Vanessa. What? Make sure I got my screen here. Do, do, do,
Okay.
do, do, do. What are some of the life lessons, and you touched on them, but some of the life lessons that our young people are learning through charm, dance, and jazz, tap, and so many of the and choir that you really want to see? It's not just about learning a routine that because I see it in my own house. It's not about just learning a routine, but it's life lessons that I'm seeing our young people learning. Just share a little about those life lessons that the Venettes Cultural Workshop is imparting into not only to the young people, but even to us as adults, as parents.
Right. Right. Well, I think that, we try to look at the Venettes Culture Workshop as a microcosm of life.
Mhm,
So through the real world experiences that you have at the workshop, figure out how you relate them to your life experiences. So, with the teachings and understanding the rudiments of dance or the rudiments of charm, it's important to have a good work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Work ethic is going to be something that you're going to need whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working for a corporation. So being committed, making sure that you are going home and you're practicing and coming back and making sure that you have excelled in the choreography or in the information that was given to you. High expectations. If you know our
Mm-hmm.
pledge, you pledge to give 110%
Mm-hmm.
every time that you come into this building and that you get on the floor. That is not just about dance, that is a life lesson. At the end of the
Mm.
day, we know we work in corporations, some of us have our businesses. You have to give of your time and talent on a consistent basis in order to be successful. So we just try to model that in what we're doing with our students. With charm and etiquette classes, it's about modeling, and that's great, but it's really about self-esteem, being assured in your queenness, as I would say. We have
Mm-hmm.
queens and we have princesses, and understanding that you are beautiful regardless of your skin color, regardless of your hair texture. You have a beauty that emanates from within, and people, you need to share that gift with other people. So making sure that our students just know that they are loved, they are supported, they're going to be pushed. At times they may not like it, but when it comes from a supportive network, when it comes from people who love you, that is
Mm-hmm.
about preparing you for the future. So I really think that those are the gems and the jewels that we have at the Venettes Cultural Workshop. We push our students. We expect 110%. We expect that they know their Black history facts. So it's not just a regular dance school, but afterwards you might be doing a piece and you'll learn about Nina Simone while you were doing that piece. If you're doing a piece about Ruby Bridges, you're learning about Ruby Bridges. We share Black history facts after our classes because it's really important to know on whose shoulders we stand and the foundation that's been set by our ancestors and the responsibility and obligation for us to continue with that legacy that our ancestors have set for us. So it is just really, for me, it's really an honor and a privilege to be in a position that you can help to affect the lives of hundreds of students on a weekly basis and
Mm-hmm.
try to impart on them the knowledge and the skills that they need to be successful individuals.
Mm-hmm. And I see the fruit of that. I remember the earlier times when and I'm getting in trouble, but hey, she'll get me later. When Anaya was going to Charm and she would be with Mrs. Jerry, and I would see her and during recital because I was never allowed to see rehearsals, but when I would see recitals, and just to see how she is just a young lady of elegance, a young lady of grace, and just an intelligence, and I say, wow, yes, God has blessed us as parents, but just to see the extension of that through the Venettes Cultural Workshop and help molding in her into being who she is today. And I always kind of point to the charm aspect because I remember my wife was like, she's going to charm so that way it ain't not just about learning how to eat at dinner somewhere where you're not going eating the McDonald's out of a bag, but it's so much more. And I see the fruit of it today. And that's just so awesome. And how I was always told about how she would have to bring her report card to
Yes.
class, and I said, "Wow, that's what our young people need in today. They need it in society."
Most definitely. And sometimes it works where, I have parents that tell me they don't have mind showing me their report card, but if they have
Mm-hmm.
to show it to Miss Vanessa, oh boy. So I'm like, that's us working together as a village, right? It really does take a village to raise a child, and we serve as that village. The Venettes Cultural Workshop serves as that village for our students. So it doesn't by any means necessary we want them to achieve. So if it's not working, in the family structure, and you feel that you have to tell them that Miss Vanessa has to see this report card, and they're like, oh no, she cannot possibly see that report card. So I have to work really hard to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I'm excelling and showing excellence. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about getting all straight A's, but I want to know that you've put your best foot forward and you've put forward your effort. Because what's the point of engaging in something and not really truly engaging and giving it 110%? So it goes back to that 110% mentality, is that if you're going to choose to do something, do it to the best of your ability.
Amen, amen, amen.
Yes.
Hey, if you're getting great value out of this discussion, like I know you are, just drop down in the comment section, hashtag adding value. I want to give a shout out to my brother Raymond Mathis. Good morning to you, sir. And again, good morning to my brother Robert. Question number 4. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. What has been some of the feedback that you've been receiving throughout the years from from educators, principals, and schools on how the Venettes Cultural Workshop is playing a very important role in our students' lives? Just some of the
Well,
feedback.
it's funny because I have a lot of students who their moms or dads are teachers or principals, administration in schools, and they just speak to the framework that we've created. The fact of the matter that, our students are required and have responsibilities and have to meet those obligations and responsibilities. That's what life is about. The fact of the matter that you are able to provide a solid foundation of understanding African American culture and history and what our contributions have been to the foundation of this country. Extremely important, because then if you know that, you have a sense of pride that's just kind of already in you, and then we can continue to build upon that. I have to say that I've had from football coaches and basketball coaches, like, are you in dance class, to the boys? Are you in dance class? Oh, you need to get in dance class because you need to be doing ballet, because that's going to help you. Your plie is going to be able to help you with your jump shot. Your plie is going to be able to help you as you're running down the field. That's going to give you a little bit of more agility. So it actually has run the gamut of comments and thought processes about the Venettes Cultural Workshop. And to me, that's helpful. Listen, and sometimes there are comments where we can grow from too. This teacher, my child didn't really connect well with this teacher. Is there anything that we can do? And anytime any situation like that happens where there is a disconnect between a teacher and a student, I always encourage the student and the teacher to sit down and have a conversation. Because in a class, you may think the teacher is picking on you, and you may think the teacher is isolating you out from everyone else, but understanding in that one-on-one conversation as to why the teacher is doing that. Normally, when a teacher is paying a lot of attention to you, that's because they know you have value. They know you have the sustenance that is needed, and they're trying to just build upon that. Now, it's difficult because every student's personality is not the same, so they don't take it in the same way, but figuring it out, because that is a life lesson. You might have a boss that you don't get along well with, and you're not going to just sit back and not have a conversation with the boss. Take the opportunity to have a conversation with your boss or your supervisor to find out why that relationship is not working that well. And normally, when you can do that and sit down at a table, you can actually figure out where each other is coming from, and then you know each other a little bit better. So it's all about modeling those real life experiences for our students, so that when they get into the real world, they get into corporate America, they get into their entrepreneurial side of things, they have the skill set, the tools, and the ability to be able to achieve and be successful.
Wow, that is truly awesome. Truly awesome. Last question for you. And I mean, we could go on, but I want to be respectful of your time because I know you have a full plate this morning.
Yes.
What's next for Venettes Cultural Workshop in 2021 and beyond?
So really, 2020 definitely was a year and presented challenges. So when COVID hit in March, we stopped our classes and we couldn't really have classes. However, I knew that the social emotional development of our children and the social emotional stability of our children was extremely important. And with the outlet of the performing arts, that helps to address any of those social emotional issues or concerns that our students may be experiencing. So when it came time for like the June timeframe, in July, we started doing some outside classes just to kind of get the kids kind of back in the swing of things, and then had to figure out, because our class sizes are so large, we'll have classes that are 20, 25 kids. You have to ensure appropriate safety, COVID safety precautions. So really just took some time, a couple of months, to figure out how we could do it and open up safely. And we were able to do that. So for September and October, we had outside classes at the Wyandanch Plaza, and it was actually really beautiful. They have 2 stages set up, so that worked really well. There's waterfalls that are there. It was great for the community. The community would come by and just stop and watch the kids dancing and just say, like, the different type of music that they're listening to. Stevie Wonder, they're listening to Nina Simone, they're listening to all different types and genres of music. It was helpful and uplifting for the community as well. But then as the weather got a little colder, we couldn't be outside that much. So then how I figured out we'll do it, how we're going to continue to run classes safely, is not just go full virtual. Because full virtual doesn't work for some students, and there you lose the interest of students. So what we did was we created cohorts of students, so that 6 or 7 would come in the class in the studio at one time while the others are on virtual, and then once a month come together as a large group, so that the students had something to look forward to, like they're going to come in the studio based on the rotation of the cohorts, and then they were going to come together all together at one point in time. So I do have to say that our students have said, thank you so much for figuring out a way for us to be able to come back and come back safely. I mean, I see some other dance schools and I'm like, okay, I don't see masks. They're a little too close to each other. What's going on? So we tried to do it in a way that the kids have to wear masks the entire time. Their temperature is checked before they come in. They get hand sanitizer before they come in. And then we make sure that we have the room that we have when we come together is about 4,100 square feet. So that gives us the opportunity to be able to socially distance, but then still come together and still have that opportunity of fellowship, that opportunity to connect with their brothers and sisters and to connect with their teachers. And I have to say that I'm so happy. And that is only really a blessing from the Lord. And I'll tell you, my son, I was trying to rush and try to do stuff. He's like, Mom, sit back. You can figure this out, but don't rush to do something that's not going to necessarily be beneficial to everyone. So I have to be thankful to Dallas Streeter, my son, for just telling me to step back and breathe for a second. And really, once he said that, within 2 weeks, I was able to figure out the whole way of how we were going to operate, coming back in September and then going into our cohorts and our virtual classes. So that's really, but I think the Lord spoke through him. So the Lord used him as the vessel to kind of say, Mom, calm down, get your stuff together, think, be logical, and make it work. So we do have a recital. So we're going to be doing a virtual recital because normally our recitals have about 1,000 people that attend each night. And that we know we're not going to be able to do within the short term. So we're preparing our students. We'll create a full virtual recital. This year, I'm so excited. The theme of the show is a night at the African American Museum. So it's so apropos based on everything that's taking place on the national level with the Black Lives Matter movement, with the killing of George Floyd. It's important for us to know that we have been at the foundation and the building of this country. So a night at the African American Museum allows us to do that. We're talking about the various exhibits at the museum, and then the exhibit comes to life through dance or through voice or through charm. And so we'll create a full virtual recital, and then we will have a drive-in movie where the parents and the students can come, and it'll be a drive-in movie where you come, you get to sit in your car, so you're in your little cohort and you're safe, but you'll be able to sit in your car, watch it. Because the thing is, I said virtual, and then I'm like, but everybody's sitting at home. That's not the same feeling, right? Like we like to be able to come together. So by doing the drive-in movie, that's great. And then we'll have some food trucks set up. So you'll be able to get some food while you're sitting in the car, watching the virtual recital. And it's an opportunity for us to come together. And then we'll also be able to highlight our graduating seniors, of which it's really important that the whole village is there to be able to honor them. So we'll be able to do that as well. So I'm excited about what we've created. Prayerfully, it all works out. But it's been a challenging time. But I do believe that in this challenging time, it breeds creativity. It breeds innovation. It forces you to think differently and outside of the box. And I think that's not for just us. That's for many people. I love seeing on social media so many businesses, particularly people of color, creating, new businesses. And because we had a little bit of time, and especially our young people getting into the stock market, trading options, knowing about ETFs. Like, I'm loving it because we had a little bit of time to step back, do a little bit of education of ourselves, and figure out how we operate in this world, or this nation called the United States. So I think this time it was just a reset button to figure out, what our passion is, what our goals are, what is going to be our path in life. And I am appreciative of the reset button.
Amen. So when you get more information, we're certainly going to share it on the Huddle. We're certainly going to share it on YouTube and our different platforms to just support what the Venettes Cultural Workshop is doing. And I just want to say personally, though I've never met your mother, the vision and the legacy of your mother, I see it even through my daughter, even in church. So I want to just thank you personally for the deposit that Mom Mrs. Streeter has made in you, and you're making it in all the Anayas and all of the males. You're doing such a great and marvelous job. So thank you for taking time out your schedule to just come on to the Huddle and share. And any parting words you want to share to our viewers before you get back to empowering and educating and motivating our young people?
Sure. So I do have to say that I feel honored and privileged that I continue the legacy of Mary Baird, what she planted, the seeds she planted. I am very thankful for those people who were around her at that time who are still supporters of the Venettes Cultural Workshop. We call them the matriarchs of the workshop, and that is Miss Bush. She's in her 80s. Miss Diana, Miss Kitty for Kitty's Kitchen, Miss Jerry. We have to, I think what's really important is that we have to honor those who have come before us and those who are still here and give them their flowers when they're here, give them their accolades while they're here, because they really poured into us to allow us to be who we are. So we are just very appreciative of all of the support, all of the words of wisdom. I have alumni that were, when we were dancing outside, they were sending me money to buy the kids lunch. That's really what it is. We have to be supportive of each other and the endeavors that we are engaged in. So I'm just so thankful to be in a position to continue to run the Venettes Cultural Workshop in addition to my other jobs. So that's definitely a blessing because the Lord gives me enough strength to be able to continue on a weekly basis. But it really is, I'm very thankful to our families of the Venettes Cultural Workshop that they trust in us enough to bring their students to us, to bring their children to us, and to know that we're trying to pour into them so that they can be the best people they possibly can. So I just want to thank you as a parent of the Venettes Cultural Workshop. You've traveled, well, you haven't traveled, but Anaya has traveled with us across the country to dance conventions and those sorts of things. And that's really also what it's about too, is exposing children to the arts beyond the regional and local level, but on the national level. So giving them that opportunity as well. So I just feel blessed, honored, and humbled to be in this position. And I thank the families of the Venettes Culture Workshop, particularly you, because you always have something positive to say. You always have something supportive to say. You always want to highlight the Venettes. And I'm just truly appreciative of who you are and whose you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Well, thank you again. I know you have a full plate. And so God's blessings and favor upon you this day. And check your schedule for March 13th, because we would love to have you for the history of Black sororities on March 13th, if your schedule permits.
Very good. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
You too. God bless.
All right. Take care.
All right. So, Huddle fans, that was our very own Vanessa B. Streeter on the Huddle. And so we want to thank her for being on. I know we still have some time here. And so while we're on, we're just going to recap what we learned here. What we've learned here. And hey, she shared a lot of great content on why it's so important. It's not about being just another dance school, but having a vision that's going to encourage our young people to find their passion. And she talked about a lot of those life lessons about commitment and putting in the work in school. And even if as parents, if there's a disconnect with us, with our young people, to have an extension such as the Venettes Cultural Workshop, where, hey, look, whether if it's Mrs. Vanessa or one of the other teachers, that they can sit down with our young people and be able to impart into them. So that was truly great. We got a couple of comments here, so we certainly want to highlight that. Give me 1 second here as we click over. I got one here from, come on, there we go. Did we get it? Okay, got our dear sister Aisha, who was a guest a couple of weeks ago. She truly said wonderful. Basically, we got our brother Raymond. Good morning, sir. Real stories, real people. Check him out. He's on YouTube now. Brother, let me tell you something about Raymond right quick. I got to give a plug for real stories and real people. Had him on as a guest couple of weeks ago, maybe 2-3 months ago. And he shared how the Huddle played a very important role in encouraging him. And he went before the Lord and said, Lord, I know you've given me a message. You've given me some content to speak to brothers and sisters who are dealing with incarceration, families that are dealing with loved ones that are in incarceration, being able to encourage individuals who have now been released and helping them with prison reentry. And so the Lord has really blessed him with his own show. That's 9 o'clock every morning. Real stories, real peoples. He's on YouTube. So I want you to check him out. If you're on Facebook, you can check him out as well. And so God is just doing some amazing and great things. And again, we want to highlight our brother Robert. God bless you. God's grace and blessings upon you. He's out in Arizona watching us, 2 hours behind. And so it doesn't look like, okay, I haven't missed anyone. And as we just have you come on, just, and those of you who are going to watch the replay, we pray that this content has inspired you. This content is encouraged you. And she just talked about, Mrs. Vanessa talked about, yes, she was one of the 12 students, but she also talked about how her path in being part of a Black sorority played a major role in shaping and molding her to be the leader and the woman and the daughter that she is. And so that was powerful to know, that throughout our journey and being a part of things, it molds and shapes us. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about giving God all the honor, all the glory and the praise, because he wants us to live our lives in such a way that's not just making a living, but he wants our lives to be lived in such a way where it is making a difference. And certainly that's what Mrs. Vanessa Streeter and the Venettes Cultural Workshop is doing in our young people's lives. If those of you who are watching me live and those of you who are watching on replay, certainly in the comments section, if you have some thoughts and some ideas on some future shows that you would like the Huddle for us to do, please drop in the comment section your ideas so we can take a look at those ideas and incorporate them in the Huddle in the month of April, May, June. As I say, March is going to be women's, as we know, is Women's Month. So we're going to highlight our sisters who are part of Black sororities. We're going to highlight our sisters who are entrepreneurs. We're going to highlight our sisters who are doing some great things in their lives through the gifts and talents that God has did. So we're going to use March, just like we use February as Black History Month, to just highlight the things that God is using us as people of color, Black people, to make history out. It's okay to remember what Dr. Martin Luther King did. It's okay to remember with Harriet Tubman. It's okay to remember those who have accomplished some great things, but there are some people of color and people who are Black or African Americans. They're making history right now, and we want to highlight that. We want to give them their roses now and give them the platform to share what God is doing in their lives. Also on the fourth Saturday, we're gonna start a segment on the Huddle called Young Brilliant Black Minds, where we're gonna tap into that age demographic of maybe 16 to 25, and our young brilliant Black minds, whether male or female, of what God is doing. And our first guest is going to be Dion Mixon, who is a graphic designer, and he's created a graphic design game that is going to help encourage and educate our young Black youth about graphic design. And so we're going to use the fourth Saturday every month to highlight a young, brilliant Black mind, whether male or female. And so there's just so many things that we are looking to do on the Huddle in the days and the weeks to come. And so we're going to bring this to a close. Again, I want to thank my guest, Mrs. Vanessa Streeter from the Venettes Cultural Workshop, for joining us. And those of you being on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, checking us out, thank you. Drop down in the comment section and just let us know where you are watching us from. And those of you who are going to watch in the replay, in the comment section, just put in the comment section, where you're watching me from, your name, and then hashtag replay so we can acknowledge you and give you some love. And again, we are getting close to that 100 subscriber mark on YouTube. So I want to encourage you, if you're watching me and you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, And those of you who are going to watch the replay, please subscribe to the channel so we can hit this first benchmark, because we know that this is a platform that God is going to use to touch many more people. And so you subscribing and you sharing and also just liking and commenting is going to help us to accomplish that. And so that's it for this morning of the huddle. I want to again thank my guest, Mrs. Vanessa Streeter, for being on. And as we bring this to a close, we want to just say God's blessings upon you and God's favor upon you this day, that you have a wonderful day. And always remember, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose. Let me get my cue music here. Hold on. Before I get my closing, we got to do this right. We got to do this right. Hold on. There we go. Give me 1 second. Okay. So let's take that again. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that will prevail in your life. So let God's purpose prevail in your life this day. God bless.